Doing a little bit of boat work today. I'm working on the rigging on a Montgomery 17. I'm replacing the standing rigging, and I've just got my stay lock fittings in, so getting ready to cut some cables. Just threw a few things in the box here. The 3M 5200 caulking and caulking gun, and my little grinder with a cutting wheel on it, and measuring tape, masking tape, or painter's tape, pliers, that kind of thing, some wrenches and stuff. I've got my old forestay laid out here, which was it's actually too large of a diameter. I'm putting back a 5/32 on it. What was on it was a 3/8 or 3/16, and just got a screwdriver stuck in the ground there to hold it, and pulling on out here to get my length. In a previous video, I showed where I had just cobbled together some random things to get my length like I wanted it out of just some random junk here. You can see there I just used all kind of different fittings there and to get it the length that I needed. And that's stretched out tight there with another screwdriver holding the end. And then this is representative of a new turnbuckle that I'll be using here, but this is a stay lock fitting here with the stud on it that goes into a turnbuckle. So this is where I'll be cutting my cable length to right there to fit in that stay lock fitting. Okay, so I've got my tape on here, and I got my mark where I'm gonna cut it. Like I said, I'm putting 5/32 on this forestay. The M17 came with 1/8 inch rigging, and I'm putting 1/8 inch rigging back, except for the forestay I'm using 5/32. Just helps keep the weight down up high, but it's plenty strong for the rig. Like I say, that's what they came from the builder with. So anyway, I'll use my little grinder here to cut that in two. After you cut these cables, another thing you want to be sure to do, get that to focus here, you want to be sure to deburr. You might be able to tell there where I've kind of beveled that edge of these strands just a little bit. You want to deburr that in, kind of taper it just ever so slightly. It will help you to get it through the cone. I'm having a hard time getting this thing to focus here. Anyway, you might be able to tell there where I've kind of beveled it just a bit. That really helps you be able to get it into the stay lock hardware. I have had this little 1 pound jar of lanolin here for many years, decades, and it's still half full at least. But I'm going to put some lanolin on these threads right here so they won't gall. And then you see where I've opened this up here, and then this core right here that I call it a cone. I'm not sure what they call it. Anyway, this is why it's so important that you deburr and kind of ever so slightly bevel these tips of these right here, because if not, you can't really get this thing on, because it's designed to be tight. And you see right there the split in it. It also helps to kind of twist it on in a direction so that it doesn't try to unwind the wires, and then it'll usually just go right on. And you leave that out about 1/8 of an inch, sticking out past the cone there, about 1/8 of an inch. And then that's important. And then you rewind these back the way they came off, and slide this up forward and kind of shape it up. And then these wires here, you can just kind of twist them back, and they kind of go back in shape by themselves, more or less. You do have to verify that everything is nice in line before you put it together. And one thing to remember is that little split in that cone. You got to make sure a wire doesn't go straight down into that when you put it together, which is why you dry fit it, take it back apart, make sure everything looks good, and then you put it together permanently. And then as you kind of feed it back in there, you've got to kind of space them out where they're kind of even. And just try really hard not to let one get down in that groove in that cone piece, because it'll go down in there and it'll keep it from compressing, because that groove has to be open so that it can compress tight down around everything. And don't forget to put in your little shaping piece here that goes in. That has to drop in. That drops down in there like that, and that's what shapes these wires here to get the angle right for them. Okay, I'm going to use some caulking and put inside here. I do have that little shaping cone thing down in there already. I have dry fitted that and got it shaped kind of halfway decent here, and I don't have a wire stuck in that groove. And I have wiped off the lanolin, and I'm going to use Loctite on the threads and put it all back together permanently. And like I say, the caulking ends up, a bit of it squeezes out the outside right there. That lets you know that it's full when it squeezes out, which is what you want. And it doesn't take much, by the way. You just need just a tiny, just little dollop of caulking in there, and it squeezes all through all those wires and comes out here, and it makes it where water can't get in there. And then the Loctite to keep it from coming apart. Do make sure that little shaping cone down in there is seated properly and not sideways when you go to tighten it up. Right, mine just got sideways, so I got to straighten that out before I put it together and then tighten it up. Okay, so you might be able to see there where that caulking squeezed out good there. I'll clean that up with a little bit of alcohol, wipe everything down, clean everything up good, and that's snug down pretty tight. And then with that Loctite, hopefully it won't come back apart ever. And there it is with the new old stock turnbuckle on there. And cleaned up that adhesive caulking did come out there, and wiped all that off with some alcohol and cleaned it up. And that should be a new forestay made up to length now. And I just got 7 more to go on this boat because it has a split back. I've got all my standing rigging made and installed and got my mast up. Pretty much took all day, but I got it done. And I've got, looks like I've got plenty of adjustment for everything. I got to get me some split rings, cotter keys or something, and tidy up a couple of things, but it all worked out. I used some turnbuckles that I had that were still okay, fairly new actually, but got all that done. That's my rig for standing up the mast by myself. It works really good. I use it on boats like this, and I use it on my Com-Pac 23. It works extremely well. This has a little split backstay. I've got to make me a backstay adjuster, a backstay tensioner to go right there. I haven't done that yet, but it's run out of daylight today. The boat is extremely dirty and dusty and mildewy, but it's covered with pollen and stuff, actually, mostly. But I'll wash it good and clean it up one day soon. Inside's totally dry. Doesn't have any rainwater leaks at all. So, do not know whether the centerboard is stuck or not yet. I have no idea what kind of condition it's in. I've got to get it in my shop to lift it and see what I've got, or launch the boat and see if it goes up and down in the water or what's something. I do have registration for it in my name. I just hadn't put numbers on it yet. I got to change out those numbers, and I think I'm gonna put, I don't know, I'll probably end up building another trailer for this boat. I'm not quite sure I like this trailer. It does have an extendable tongue on it, which will help for launching, but it's probably going to replace it at some point in time. But anyway, I've got to replace my halyards. The ones that are on there are really old and not even the right kind of rope, and also too large a diameter. So I'll be putting on some halyards maybe tomorrow, and I'll probably just drop the mast back down and change out the halyards. It'll be a lot easier. So just piddling a little bit. I needed to get a 6 7/8 inch hole cut in the center of that barrel lid right there. So CNC machine does great. I just screwed it through the center where it wasn't going to be keeping, and cut it out. Just a real quick single pass. This is going to be for a dust collection barrel on my Cyclone that I put together. So this is my Cyclone. I just got a bucket sitting over my motor right this second. I got to extend my roof out like an awning over it to keep the rain off of it. It's galvanized, and it's a 3 horsepower motor. And this barrel here will catch my sawdust, and I've just got to put some brick or something on it to lift it up so that fits around that right there, so it creates my vacuum so that the big particles fall into the barrel rather than pulling air up through that. And then underneath this little shelter here, this is where I've got my my vacuum pump. This is a regenerative blower pump, and it's in a weatherproof housing exhaust out over that way. And then I've got the the little shelter over it as well. But I've got to build a little extension roof here, like a little awning, to cover this up. It's actually relatively weatherproof, kinda anyway. But I will be putting a roof over it just to keep the rain off of it. Help keep the rain out of my barrel too. And I may end up having to put a drain hole in the bottom of the barrel in case any rainwater does get in, so that it doesn't hold water. But we'll see how that works out. That's an absolutely perfect, snug fit around that pipe. That's really nice having the CNC machine for doing stuff like that, because cutting that out with a jigsaw, would have been kind of ragged. And, it's hard to find a 6 7/8 inch hole saw. And that cut that absolutely just a perfect snug fit all the way around. And this barrel has a gasketed lid. It's got a rubber, like an O-ring rubber gasketed lid with a clamp on it. And so I just unclamp the barrel. I can leave the lid in place if I want to and just pull the barrel out from the bottom to dump my sawdust whenever I need to. Anyway, that should work. And that way it's all of the airflow is up here rather than pulling from down here up and making the big chips go out, through the blower. Hopefully it works. This is similar to how I had my last one set up, and it worked great. So I'm sure this one will work fine.